Hey, everybody, and welcome to Dental Rebound Live. I have the honor of getting a chance to interview Dr. Jon Connelly. He has written a book, he's an author, and he is the founder of Rapid Resolution Therapy. And I've never had anything like this before in my life. So I just want to share first to invite Dr. Connelly in to say hello. And then I'd like for me to be able to tell them my story about how it transformed my life. So Dr. Connelly, it's great to have you here.
Oh, Audie, it's great to spend time with you today. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to you guys to give a little bit of context in this, and if you've been following kind of my story, I've been talking about my gurgly stomach, and literally it's been 19 months, 18 to 19 months since I've been having this challenge. And I've gone to gastroenterologist, I've gone to a urologist, I've had CAT scans and, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards, done alternative stuff that I thought could heal it. I actually thought I had H. pylori and went for that. And so I've gone through like so many iterations, because you guys know that I teach and train the one thing, that you're one thing away. And I was trying to find, what is that one thing? Like, it's not debilitating, but it was, my quality of life was seriously being affected by it. And even my quality of sleep, it would get really bad. And then a friend of mine, Suze Kapanik, she's probably listening today, but she actually introduced me to Dr. Connelly's work with rapid resolution therapy. And I've never had something like this happen in just one conversation that he did with me, about 90 minutes. I don't even think it was that much, and was able to feel the stomach quiet down and calm down. And so Dr. Connelly, I'm just fascinated, and it's really great to have you here, because I know there's other people that are out there having those similar problems like I did. How did you find this? Tell us a little bit about your backstory and why you got into doing this and created this RRT.
I'd be delighted to, Audie. By the way, one of the things that happens when people are way into something is time distortion, which is maybe why our 50-minute conversation felt like an hour and a half.
No way.
I think it was about that long. So I was passionately looking for something that would cause suffering to end. And so that was the impetus. How did I get into it that way? I was trained as a psychotherapist. I did everything I was taught. I didn't find that it was solving things for people. To go back a little further, I began my career a whole long time ago as a child protective service worker. And so I spent years involved with families where children were being abused or neglected. I went from that into a residential program for runaway, throwaway kids from 12 through 17. I went from there to working with people individually, and I found that there were a whole lot of people going through really ugly, awful stuff, and that I hadn't been equipped to deal with how to cause people who have gone through awful stuff to get better. And so that was my interest, from having really experienced what that awful stuff was like, to be motivated to look and find something that would work. And everything that I was being taught was that in order to get people better, that the process was very long, the process was very painful, and if somebody was able to do something and pay for something that was painful and took a really long time, they might end up even feeling better. And I just thought, all right. And I learned to do all this really painful stuff to people. And I did a whole lot of painful stuff to people. And I thought, well, this is awful for him and it's awful for me, but if it's going to get people better, I'll put up with it. But I dropped out because it wasn't getting people better. And that's when I started reversing things and moving things around and causing things to shift. And what you spoke about today, and people hearing your story, how just a shift from within the mind, and it was a conversation. It was easy, it was fun, and people could even watch it, because on my website, rapidresolutiontherapy.com, there's a button you can push called Shifts and Transformations, and watch this in action. There are many different episodes, and each episode of Shifts, I meet with somebody generally for 40, 50 minutes, less sometimes, and that person's life shifts and changes in a dramatic way. And people then say, yeah, put that up, because I want other people to experience the education, the inspiration, and the healing from watching it. So it's exciting to hear from you that you participated in it and got better. It's even more exciting when I start getting calls from people who I've never met who tell me they're getting better because they're participating in this. One young lady I met with, I'll tell you briefly her story because you're interested in healing, and it was so significant. Her name's Kristen, and her father called me, and he said, would you please help my daughter? I've heard about you. Would you please help her? I said, well, what's going on? And he said, well, she's been having seizures for a number of years, and she's having like 10 seizures a day, and they now require her to have a helmet on so she doesn't smash her head into the oven during a seizure. And she is usually in a wheelchair, but I can get her out with her 3-pronged cane. And she's, I think she's about 23 years old. And he says she's being treated at the Mayo Clinic. She's seeing psychologists there, and she's getting a full medical treatment there. And they're not able to really do anything with it, but they're still in progress. Will you see her? And I said, well, where is she? And she was far away from me. And she can't fly. She can't take a train. And I said, sir, I want so much for your daughter to be better. No, I will absolutely not see her. Because I thought of what it would be like to have him put her in the back of a car, drive for days to come to my office, spend a couple hours with me, and not get any better. And I thought, why would she get any better? I mean, this is top known treatment. Why would she get any better? So I said, I'm sorry, but I'll think about her and send you guys good wishes. And he just started crying, and he said, I'll carry her to you on my back. And I said, all right, bring her. I was not in a good mood, and I felt kind of beat up by it. And anyway, they came in. She's such a brave little girl. They pulled up in front of the office, and she said, Daddy, I'm not taking the cane or the helmet. And she walked in, and he waited in the waiting room. And we were together a couple hours. And I want you to listen to her TED Talk when you have a chance, because now she's a full-time healer. She's never had another seizure. She runs back and forth on that TED stage. 1 million people have, more than 1 million now, have watched and inspired. She's been getting people's minds clear and the most exciting thing for her is when she's working with people who have seizures, because she really gets where that was at. So I can't promise that. And all we can promise is that what this process doesn't hurt or make it worse. For some people, the improvement is gradual. For some people, like you and Kristen, the change was dramatic. Her name is Kristen Rivas, and that's a TEDx talk. And if you put her name in, that'll pop up if people want to be able to watch. She did an amazing performance. I don't even remember what your question was because I've strayed really far from it, but I hope some of what I said has answered some question that you didn't answer.
That was perfect. And actually, it kind of gave me chills because I didn't know you were talking about that, Kristen, because I've seen that TED Talk.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, that was part of how I was introduced to you with Sue. She gave me a couple of different things to look at and check out. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, you know, I'm at the end of my rope, you know, I mean, I don't know, there's nothing physical, emotional, even spiritual. You know, I told you about having prayers. I mean, I've gone for prayer and it's like, this is frustrating. I can live with this for the rest of my life. I don't want to, you know what I mean? And so just doing all the research that I can do to find a solution. And then, you know, you are the one that helped me. So I'm
so glad, Audie. I'm so glad. I know that one of the things that you're passionate about from your own experience with your father and forward is you're passionate about people being able to reduce stress. And Dad was a dentist. You're passionate about dentists being able to reduce stress because, gosh, them being okay, they affect so many other people in such a profound way, who affect so many people in such a profound way. So we really want to get that in a better way. And I'd like to give you the way we think about that and how we make it better for folks.
John, can I set this up real quick?
Please.
Just a couple of statistics, like the American Dental Association. So my dad, and Dr. Connelly was referring to, my dad was, you know, again, an orthodontist in the dental field. So I grew up in the dental family. And I'll tell just briefly for those of you who haven't heard, but I was at Carolina as a senior. My dad, you know, came down, it was during exams and we all had dinner together, but he and I were just the two of us sitting in my bedroom and he was on my bed. I still can see his face. And I said, Dad, what's going on? You don't seem the same. He was always very happy and jovial and fun and had a dry sense of humor. He was a magnificent dad for me. And he said, Audie, I just can't handle the stress. I can't handle the stress anymore. And that night he drove from Chapel Hill to High Point, went upstairs to sleep it off because he never missed a day in his practice, had a massive heart attack and died that night. And, you know, my mom, in talking back, reflecting back, doing what I do now to serve dentists, you know, to help reduce that stress, get work-life balance, and have Dr. Connelly and experts like this on the show. One of the things that she mentioned was, you know, I don't know if you know that your dad had, you know, 3 different friends of his who committed suicide. So my dad used to say, you know, dentistry is at the time, he was back in the 70s, he practiced #1 profession with the highest suicide rate.
I've heard that.
Now it's #3, but, you know, suicide chronic stress, all that kind of stuff. And then also in 2015, the American Dental Association did research, and 76% of dentists replied that they had medium to moderate stress in their lives. That's coronavirus. And right now it's just crazy, the kind of things that they're going through, and their personality types are not necessarily, entrepreneurial and let's just roll with this. I mean, they're very, they're scientists, that's what.
I was about to say, scientists, absolutely.
There you go. So I wanted to set that up, Dr. Connelly, before you started into it, because it's so vital right now and such uncertainty.
The normal way to think is that what somebody is feeling has to do with something that is going on, has gone on, might go on. And so the normal way to think is that this guy, affected by the scary stuff going on with the virus, with our culture, with the economy, that is causing this thing we'll call stress or depression or anxiety or whatever. And I don't disagree with that. I think that's not just a normal way to think, but I think it's a reasonable way to think. But when I'm utilizing this process, it's not the way I think. I think that the way that our minds, unconscious, are processing information is what's causing the emotion, the sensation, the thought, the behavior that's causing the pain. Now, I don't say that that's any more correct or more right than the other way to think. But if we can think that way together, and I don't know whether you remember, but I probably began that way with you and said, can we think this way? Can we just think this way together? That the thing that's been causing the stuff going on that you've been experiencing physically has been something about the way your mind, not you consciously, but your mind beneath conscious awareness has been processing information. And I told you, the reason I'd like us to think that way is because we can right here, right now, do something about that. But I can't right here, right now, do something about the economy. I can't right here, right now, do something about racial tension. Can I have an effect over time? Am I interested? Absolutely. But can I right here, right now, shift that for you? Not that, but I can shift how it's received. So there are the radio waves, but then there's the radio. Can we shift the radio and then have it bringing in what's going to be beneficial? And so that's what I did with you. That's what I did with Kristen. That's what I'm teaching people to do, is how do you turn the dial? And the problem I have with the whole notion of self-help is that I listen to self-help people tell me that the problem is my attitude. The problem is that I'm not positive enough. The problem is basically that I'm not good enough because I'm not positive enough. And if I'm not feeling positive, I don't know how to, from where I'm not feeling positive, feel positive. How do you shift the feeling from where it's being felt? If you think of a guy holding a Bluetooth speaker, he's shaking it, he's cursing at it. And finally you say, sir, what's going on with you with this speaker? And he says, I hate that damn song. trying to get it to play something else. You don't want to make this guy wrong. He's already a little shaky. So you just say, you're absolutely right. That song is playing right through that speaker. But I think we can go over here and change it. So you change it from where you can't even hear it. And so I'm not going to tell you change the way your unconscious mind is processing information so your stomach feels better. Because how would you? But from outside, knowing a few things about how to reach the unconscious from outside, I have the ability, the understanding, and the distance to be able to make it different. And that's how that's done. We're making an adjustment in the way that the unconscious is processing information, and then she doesn't have seizures. And then your stomach is okay. And then this gal who every time she was in a group was terrified she would get called on, is raising her hand all the time and having fun. Not because she finally learned to have courage. We do so much to try to transform people by telling them just have better qualities. When I was in school and not doing very well, they told me that I was lazy and that I should work harder. And I thought, you know, I don't know a whole lot. Here I am in 8th grade, but I know that lazy people don't work harder. So that's not going to work too well for me. And if I do, I'll probably grow up like you, thinking lazy people should be hard workers.
Kind of an oxymoron, right? Like,
yeah. So how do you flip this thing inside the mind? And I'm excited to have created a way that can be done both quickly and painlessly. And by the way, we're teaching that method. And there are courses beginning soon and courses that people can take online. And we have health professionals, we have dentists and psychiatrists and psychologists, and we have people who are just looking to be able to understand their own mind and help others, all collaborating in these online meetings and learning to be able to do this for each other, and turn the dial and make a difference. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Please guide me.
That's a beautiful thing. I love that because, you know, I read, you know, a lot of the testimonials on your website, and, you know, people are talking about, well, I've been this, you know, psychologist for 20 years, you know, and I haven't been able to provide the healing that I've wanted to, because it's just a long drawn out process. And like you said about time, you know, I know it sadly is a microwave world at some level, but for whenever you're talking about healing and quality of life and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I remember I had therapy because I had some performance anxiety when I was a tennis player. I was a competitive tennis player. So I literally went and I was feeling some anxiety even then, you know, at 18 and younger than that. And I think I was even, my mom and dad had to drive me. So I sought out therapy early on to see if it would help my tennis game, because I would, you know, do what people would say is choke. You know, my abilities were at a certain level, but because of the mental part that was creating that, you know, oh, don't miss, don't fail. You know, you can beat this guy, you know, all that mental chatter that's going on. You're going to double fault. Oh, you just double faulted, you know, that whole thing that's going on in your mind. How does performance work? How does the mind work? How do you get peak performance so that you're not having these issues? And I believe that my dad, because he actually had good work-life balance in a sense, I think it was really more that emotional part, the stress part, that really is what killed him, you know? And so I love what you're doing, and I think it's great to hear that. What's the website again, so people can actually, and I'll put it underneath.
It's Rapid Resolution rapidresolutiontherapy.com. rapidresolutiontherapy.com. All of the sessions in Shifts and Transformations are accessible there, and there's information about upcoming trainings. You can download the first chapter of my book. The book's called Life-Changing Conversations, and it's word-for-word conversations that changed people's lives, including that conversation with Kristen that she and I had, after which she never had a seizure again. So we'd like you to be able to look at and benefit from that. When the COVID thing began, I wanted to do what I could do to make a difference for people, and created an audio recording that I suggested people might listen to in order to enhance immunity and to speed and deepen healing. And so we have, that is available there on the website. There's no charge for any of this stuff. And we just would like you to benefit from it. The thing that was so exciting to me after creating that audio recording is this wonderful and courageous and heroic emergency room physician listened to this and wrote me a letter right away, and he said, I want every health professional who has to deal with any possibility of exposure to listen to this recording before every shift. And everybody that I have influence over is now going to do that. So that was so exciting to hear. That's there and it's available right now. The problem with what's going on with this virus is people are becoming afraid, and fear makes us more vulnerable. So what our bodies are doing in order to protect us is what's causing vulnerability. Our human minds and bodies are so complicated that it's the defense against the threat that ends up causing the problem rather than the threat. When you go to the doctor because there's an allergy, and doc says, well, you're all stuffed up here. I want you to take this antihistamine. And the guy says, antihistamines, histamines, bad stuff, right? So we're against them. Where the heck do they come from? And doc says, oh, well, your body makes histamines. Oh, why? Is it pissed off at me? No, it's making the histamines in order to make sure you're okay. So the histamines are to make sure I'm okay, yes. But you're against them? You're giving me an antihistamine. Doc says, yeah. We want to get rid of the histamines that are there to make sure you're okay. Why? Because they're actually well-intended, but not effectively working for you. The defense against what they're defending against is much more of a problem for your body than what they're defending against. And what's going on with people dealing with stress and anxiety and all of these issues is that our well-intentioned mind-body is attempting to serve us in a way that's harming us. And because of that, we have people thinking that their own minds are looking to harm them. You can stand in front of 100 people, Audie, and say these words and say, just finish my sentence. We are our own
worst enemy.
Yeah, And you'll hear 100 people say worst enemy. Nothing could be a more horrible belief than to think that the very worst thing in the entire universe happens to be you.
Ooh.
And the most dangerous thing you could possibly face would be you. Think of your worst enemy is on his way to your town. Whoa, that's not good. No, he's coming to your house. Ah, that's worse. He's walking right behind you. This is horrible. He just jumped inside and he's grabbed hold of your heart and your bowels and your bladder. Now it's beyond, we can't put this horror film in the movie theater. Nobody will believe it. It's too awful. And everybody's believing it. Everybody's believing that their worst enemy is within them. And that's absolutely not true. It's just that it's complicated and our mind body is really not built for the situations that we're in. Out of the box, it doesn't work really well, but we know how to do an adjustment so that it can work. And the first thing to know is absolutely you are not your own worst enemy. Your mind might be screwing you up, probably is, but it's not trying to. It's like, imagine that your best friend is the world's worst massage therapist. And so you do everything you can when you're with him to look calm and comfortable, because he loves you so much that if he thinks you look a little stiff, he's going to throw you down and pound the hell out of you, getting you to feel better. And it would be, you could hate him so easily if you didn't know how loving he's being, even though it's awful. That's what's going on. That's what was causing the seizures, the stomach problems, the chronic pain that people are experiencing, the anxiety, the social anxiety, the shyness, the depression. It's so ironic, Audie, because it's all very well-meaning stuff operating badly. And people are told, well, fix yourself, be positive, think positive, count your blessings. And it's just not possible to think positive and count your blessings when you feel depressed and scared out of your mind and in a whole lot of pain. The solution is things can shift from inside out. One of the things I learned when they taught me to be a psychotherapist is I should tell all the people coming in that it was up to them to get better, and that I was there to provide support. But if you're going to get better, it's up to you. When I began teaching people how to do rapid resolution therapy, I said, the first thing you tell people is, you getting better is up to me. If you don't get better, it means that I didn't have the skill. Psychotherapists are never telling people, sorry you didn't get better, it's because I didn't have enough skill. They're saying, you didn't get better because you didn't really want to change. You're resistant. You weren't ready to have the courage. You weren't willing to do the work. You didn't have the stamina to stay with it. How many times do you think therapists are saying to people, gosh, I realize that you've been seeing me for a year and you're still depressed. That's because of me, because I didn't do a good job with you. Well, when you see somebody who I train and you don't, we'd like you to get better, but if you don't get better, we're sure not going to tell you it's because you didn't try hard enough. We're going to tell you, I'm so sorry, I don't have the key for every lock, and I didn't have the skill to assist you, but I'm sure somebody else will. And then we help you find that person. But usually we don't have to, because usually we actually get it done. People meet with us for 1, 2, 3 times, and things are shifted. Kristen met with me once, you met with me once. Some people meet a few more times, but nobody's seeing us Wednesdays at 3.
Mm.
for the last 3 years. We're not creating that kind of ongoing dependency and neediness and expense in people's lives. If I can do something for you, I'm certainly going to do it. And if not, I'm going to apologize and tell you to go somewhere else. Not tell you I haven't been able to do anything for you. Let's continue it for a couple of years.
Right.
So those are thoughts on it. Anyway, it's rapidresolutiontherapy.com to get more information about this process, to learn how to benefit personally, or to learn to be an RRT facilitator. And now we're doing the training online. So it's so fun. As I look at the group, I've got, somebody from New Jersey sitting next to somebody from New Zealand.
Wow.
And it's so fun. It's like you have this amazing nonstop worldwide audience, and now we provide treatment that way. So I'm just as likely to have somebody call me from Australia as from New Jersey.
Wow.
It doesn't matter where people live if they want to be benefiting from this process, or if they want to train to benefit others. And everybody in the second category is also in the first category. So all the people who are learning to do it for others are certainly soaking it up for themselves at the same time. Such fun to be here with you, Audie. You're doing such great work getting out there and making such a difference.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jon. Well, let me ask you this. If someone's piqued, you've piqued their interest and they're like, okay, I've either got something that I need to be healed, would be number one, or it's something that I want to be able to have this and help others. Specifically, most of the people that are going to be watching this are dentists, but it is going to be out there kind of on the World Wide Web for everybody to see and benefit from. Kind of talk about that. Like I was thinking, well, performance anxiety, would this help? Would RRT help for that? Would it help with my daughter who has some anxiety about testing? Would it help with, like seizures? Now, how did that happen? I mean, like that's a mental thing. That doesn't have anything, or I thought a physical thing and a mental thing, but I guess it's still.
There are both kinds. And I was just chatting with a neurologist the other day, and about that, I said, some of this stuff you guys are dealing with, epilepsy, I mean, that's not all emotional. And he said, you're right, Jon, it's not all emotional. But if we can get somebody emotionally in better shape, they're going to have far fewer seizures. And there are other seizures that are non-epileptic seizures that they can't find what's going on physically, and those can be cleared as well. If somebody has a diagnosable medical condition, then does what we do make it go away? Unfortunately not, but what it does do is causes the natural healing process going on within the body all the time to go on much more rapidly and deeply and unimpeded. Whenever we feel afraid or angry, the healing process within the body slows way down. Animals feel afraid or angry for a few seconds, and it's useful if they run like hell or bite real hard. Humans feel afraid or angry, it's useless, and it continues on and on, consciously or unconsciously. And you've heard people say, I have a right to be angry. Here, and you also hear people say, you make me sick. Well, there's something to that. Because if you can get angry and stay angry, consciously or unconsciously, anger that's just continuing called resentment, if that's going on, the healing process, maintenance and repair going on through the body all the time goes way down.
Mm-hmm.
When there's fear, it goes way down. As the healing process is going way down, there's something else that's going way, way down. And that is the ability to think creatively, intelligently, and strategically. So somebody says to you, hey, I'm sorry, Audie, I shouldn't have said that to you. It was horrible. Please understand, I was enraged. I was so angry. You go, oh man, okay, I forgive you if you were really angry. Because what you hear when he tells you how angry he was, I was so angry, you hear, yeah, you were so stupid. Because what ongoing anger, ongoing resentment, ongoing fear does is it brings healing down, illness up, and it brings the ability to think clearly and strategically and creatively and see opportunities down, while it brings the ability to bite somebody and chew their arm up. So it's bringing up abilities we have no use for and bringing down all the things that we could be hurt by, bringing down the things that would have value for us. And it can't, I don't believe, be solved by just telling people to have a better attitude. Because they're not, I don't consciously do my attitude. And I never consciously do it badly. I don't remember ever seeing in my calendar, 2 p.m. Thursday, be resentful. 5, slide into jealousy. And remember to have a nightmare while you're asleep. So if I haven't decided to have it, how do I decide not to have it? And some of the stuff we're doing to try to be positive with people seems to me to be making them feel even worse about feeling bad.
That's true. You don't just have the one problem about feeling bad. Now you've got somebody else that's shaming you and making you feel worse about whatever you're feeling bad about in the beginning.
Feeling bad. And yeah, and shame about, and our country's becoming more and more shame focused. Let's get rid of that. That's not working for us. Let's get things out of the closet and clear and open and fresh. Let some air in.
I like that. I like that. So I think, you know, from what my experience was, and also just seeing so many other people that have been part of your program, either trained or actually had the direct healing from it, you know, obviously I'm an advocate, so I want to help you and serve you in whatever way to get your message out there. You know, for people that are watching this later or whatever, if they want to be able to plug in, just go to the website. Is that the best way to contact you and schedule an appointment if it's for themselves, or if they want to get the training, that's the best way to do it, right?
That's the quickest and best way to make all of that happen.
Excellent.
rapidresolutiontherapy.com, and check out the free resources and the free episodes of Shifts, and perhaps look into some of the other things we offer, like the training program.
That's excellent. You know,
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I think about the concept of what the vagal nerve and the brain and the stomach, they're connected, right? That's part of why all this makes sense. And I know there's a lot of, you know, maybe some people that maybe haven't studied as deeply as you have think, oh, this is kind of woo-woo, or this is kind of weird. But I know there's a lot of science that backs up all this. So if they care to know about the deep science part of it, is that part in your book? Because I love that you've modeled what you teach and how you've practiced, but is there other parts or other books, other things that they can do research on?
There are articles about the brain science that supports what we're doing on the website. My book is transcripts of conversations that changed people's lives. And so there's nothing about brain science in it. But there are people who are better at that than I am, who are looking at the connection between what is happening that is making such a difference and what they understand in terms of brain. When I want to know more about brain, I call my friends who are neurologists. And they say, yeah, what you do is working because of this. So I let them know that and stay on what's more understandable to me.
I love it. Staying in your lane. Everybody, we specialize and get really deep, and that really is helpful. Well, I will let you leave the challenge before I close this up, as far as a challenge to our viewers, the people that are out there. If there's something in your mind that would be helpful to them, dentists and other practitioners, other professionals. So however you'd care to wrap it up, I'd love to allow you to do that.
Well, I just would wrap it up saying that you were wonderful to have me on. You have such a gift of a presence that is in and of itself healing. And I was saying that to you before we went live. And so thank you, because I'm certainly in better shape physically and mentally than I was an hour ago, just because I got to kind of be in the light that you're shining. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you, Jon. Thank you all for being a part of this, and I really appreciate that very much, Dr. Connelly. Feel free to reach out. I'm going to put Dr. Connelly's website and information below. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next Dental Rebound Live. And I thank you for hearing us out, and be well.